New normal, new normal, new normal, new normal. This is everywhere, and when I see this term, I want to get out the cross, the garlic, and the holy water. It is so enraging. There is nothing normal about the situation we are living in. So, who coined this term, new normal? Where does it come from? Well, it might appear to you that it is something that has just grown organically in the media as the COVID-19 pandemic has progressed. But I had a look at it because there was something extraordinarily wily about the term. It's extremely crafty. It's a real piece of wizardry. And there's no way that it just arose organically. It must have come through some group of think tanks, because it so well prepares the sheeple for the concept that they are facing a totalitarian regime for the rest of their lives for their own good. And so I went and I looked it up, and I found this, and it's absolutely fascinating. Now, we are in 2020, and we certainly haven't had news about COVID-19 and the new normal before that. But the term dates back to 2019. Take a look at this. This is an official site from the WHO, the World Health Organization, and this paper was written in 2019 by a whole lot of official people, including Theresa Tam, who is the Chief Public Health Officer in Canada and very much disliked as far as I can see. So let's get back to this. What does the 2018 to 2019 Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of the Congo tell us about the state of global epidemic and pandemic preparedness and response? That's the title of the paper. From Never Again. Never again is something you should focus on, because I really do think they mean that, to the new normal. Ebola. What has Ebola got to do with COVID-19? Well, as it turns out, and why does it go all the way back to 2019? Well, as it turns out, they have got something else in common. And that is, in a recent documentary, Dr. Judy Mikovits, and this documentary has been debunked, and I ask you to use your innate intelligence to understand what I'm saying over here. It has been debunked, and I am using one of the debunked articles to discuss the matter. So this virologist, Dr. Judy Mikovits, she had an explosive interview in a documentary called Plandemic, where she spoke about her career and how COVID was not so new, and she made all kinds of interesting allegations. And one of the things she said, which absolutely should have you stopped dead in your tracks, is that she was part of the team. She was actually right there teaching Ebola virus how to infect humans. Just hold up a minute. Teaching Ebola virus how to infect humans. And these were in official laboratories. Who is paying for this? Who is funding this? Who is organizing it? Surely these laboratories are there to find cures, make our lives better, not to actually teach viruses how to be lethal and how to infect other people. Now, they debunked a whole lot of things that she said, but I didn't find anything about her comments about Ebola, which I find very interesting. because that is really the most explosive thing of all. And I'm just gazing here through the debunking, no mention of Ebola, and interesting the way they debunk things. Mikovits has presented no direct evidence that the HHS heads colluded against her. Well, that's not debunking anything really, is it? Because if really very big names colluded against you, well, I would assume that you wouldn't have direct evidence. So they don't really have anything. It's not clear. They don't debunk with actual facts. They simply have vague, oh no, it can't be true because of this, and it can't be true because there's no direct evidence. Anyway, so she says she taught Ebola how to infect humans. And let me tell you something about Ebola. This virus, it's a deadly virus. You've probably heard about it. And it has killed people mainly in the DRC, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So just to give you a lay of the land, this is Africa. There's the United States, Canada, UK is up there. That's Australia, South America, China, Russia. And here is the DRC. And just so that you know, there are two Congos, so don't get them confused. There's the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which was formerly known as Zaire, and then before that was something else. This is the one with the capital, Kinshasa. And then we have the Republic of the Congo with the capital, Brazzaville. And there's a lot of conflict over there. So people have been dying from Ebola in the DRC, and the WHO shows they are dying up to this year. There have been some deaths in Europe, and I think even in the United States, but they came from workers who were in the DRC doing healthcare and who traveled back home, and then they were already incubating the virus, and it then erupted and killed them. So let's have a look at Ebola. Here we go. This is the WHO again. It's the official site. And we see that 21 April, we still have a total of 3,461 Ebola virus cases. And as I say, it's a virus which apparently was taught how to infect people. And you have to wonder how that then escaped from the laboratory, if it did, and ended up in the DRC. Yeah, so that's interesting. Another thing that is interesting about Ebola is it's not a respiratory disease, to be clear. It is a disease, it's hemorrhagic. It's hemorrhagic. And so what it does is it causes you to, first you have a terrible fever, and then you have weakness and fatigue, gastrointestinal symptoms, including diarrhea and vomiting. And I have to wonder, is this why people started hoarding toilet paper for COVID-19, which does not have really gastrointestinal symptoms? Did they perhaps have some kind of a confusion? Stomach ache, and then finally hemorrhaging, bleeding or bruising. When they say hemorrhaging, it is really gruesome. People start throwing up blood because they start hemorrhaging internally. It's a very serious illness, and it is deadly. It is deadly for most people. But it is not a respiratory disease, which is what COVID-19 is. COVID-19 is part of the family of coronaviruses. Coronavirus, of course, is the common cold, and COVID-19 is the deadly mutation that we are now struggling against, the pandemic all over the world. Now, here is something else that is interesting about going back to 2019, because, okay, so the new normal came out in 2019. Let's see what else came out in 2019. This is the official page again, HR 748, 116th Congress, 2019 to 2020. What is this? The Coronavirus Aid, Relief and Economic Security Act, or the CARES Act, which has been passed this year, that is 2020. But this is very interesting because when was it introduced? And as it turns out, in 2019. Now ask yourself why in 2019 people already knew that there was a coronavirus pandemic coming up and that you needed to have laws in place for its impact on the economy, public health, state, local governments, individuals, and businesses. I just want to see if I can find where it was originally introduced. Yeah, here we go. The 27th of March 2020 is when it came into being, and it was introduced into the House on the 24th of January in 2019. So ask yourself whether the new normal was strangely prepared for because global governments were simply being ultra cautious, or whether there was something that was already in the works. So again, this is a term originally used in reference to Ebola, but now accepted as part and parcel of COVID-19 in the West. Okay, please do support me if you can. I have extraordinarily high medical bills. Breathing is an expensive hobby for me because I am asthmatic and I've got a whole lot of other things, and I was supposed to go for an operation, which was cancelled because elective surgery has been put on hold due to the COVID-19 outbreak, and I have 4 dogs, 2 are rescues, and I am in South Africa where things are not looking good. You can support me on Patreon or on my PayPal account linked below. Please like and follow and share my work if you enjoyed this. Thank you for listening.